Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his battleship, watching the biggest fleet he had ever seen appear in Earth's sky. The massive ships stretched across space like a metal wall. Each one was the size of a small city. There were thousands of them. How many? Jake asked his communications officer. At least 8,000 ships, sir. Maybe more. They keep coming through the jump points. Jake had been fighting space battles for 20 years. He had seen big fleets before, but nothing like this. The enemy ships were dark gray with strange symbols painted on their sides. They moved in perfect formation, like they had done this a million times before. "Sir, we're getting a transmission," said Lieutenant Amy Carter from her station. "It's on all frequencies. They want everyone to hear it." "Put it through." The main screen flickered. A face appeared that made several crew members step back. It looked like a giant lizard that had learned to walk on two legs. Its eyes were yellow and cold. Its mouth was full of sharp teeth. When it spoke, its voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "I am War Commander Thekval of the Zelkarian Empire. For 3,000 years we have brought order to this galaxy. We have conquered 10,000 worlds. We have made slaves of 100 different species." The alien paused and seemed to smile, though it looked more like a threat than anything friendly. "You humans have built a small empire of 47 worlds. This is impressive for such a young species. But your time of independence is over. You will surrender all your worlds to us. You will become workers in our empire. You will serve us as all others serve us." Jake felt his hands tighten into fists. Around the bridge, his crew looked angry and scared at the same time. "You have 72 hours to surrender. If you refuse, we will destroy every human world. We will kill every human man, woman, and child. We will erase you from existence. This is not a threat. This is a promise. We have done this before." The transmission ended. The bridge was quiet for a long moment. "Sir," said the communications officer, "we're getting calls from every human world. They all want to know what we're going to do." Jake looked at the enemy fleet again. His own ships looked like toys next to the alien vessels. Earth had 12,000 warships. It sounded like a lot until you saw 8,000 enemy ships that were each 10 times bigger. "Get me President Grant," Jake said. Minutes later, President Lisa Grant appeared on the screen. She was in the Emergency Command Center under Washington. Her face was calm, but Jake could see the worry in her eyes. "Admiral Morrison, what's our situation?" "Bad, ma'am, really bad. I've never seen anything like this fleet. Our intelligence was wrong about their size." "How wrong?" Jake took a deep breath. "We thought they had maybe 200,000 ships total. I think they brought half their fleet just to Earth. And if this is half?" President Grant nodded slowly. "I see. Admiral, I'm calling an emergency meeting of the Terran Council. All colony governors, all fleet commanders, everyone. We need to decide what we're going to do." "Ma'am, with respect, I'm not sure we have much choice. They have us outnumbered 100 to 1. We always have choices, Admiral. The question is which ones we can live with." 2 hours later, Jake found himself in a video conference with the most powerful people in human space. Governor Pete Williams from New Mars looked tired. Commander Sarah Lopez from the outer colonies looked angry. Defense Secretary Paul Carter looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Let me make this simple," said Paul Carter. "We have 12,000 ships. They have at least 2 million. We have 47 worlds. They have 10,000. We've been spacefaring for 300 years. They've been conquering the galaxy for 3,000 years. So you're saying we should surrender?" asked Governor Williams. "I'm saying we should be realistic. If we fight, we lose. If we lose, everyone dies. If we surrender, at least some humans survive as slaves." "Slaves," said Commander Lopez. "That's what you want for the human race? To be slaves?" "I want the human race to exist," Paul shot back. "Dead heroes don't have children." President Grant raised her hand for silence. "Dr. Rodriguez, what does Strategic Command recommend?" Dr. Alex Rodriguez had been quiet during the discussion. He was the head of humanity's secret military planning division. He looked older than his 50 years, like he carried heavy secrets. "Ma'am, we've been planning for this day for 200 years. Every colony, every ship, every station has certain capabilities. We're not as helpless as we appear." "What kind of capabilities?" asked Governor Williams. "The kind that ensure if humanity dies, we don't die alone." The room went quiet. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. He had heard rumors about Strategic Command's secret projects, but no one talked about them openly. "Are you suggesting we fight?" asked Paul Carter. "I'm suggesting we give them an answer they won't expect," said Dr. Rodriguez. President Grant looked around the virtual room at all the faces on her screen. "We need to vote. All in favor of surrender?" 3 hands went up out of 27 people. "All in favor of resistance?" 24 hands went up. Jake raised his own hand, though. He wasn't sure what they were resisting with. "It's decided then," said President Grant. "Admiral Morrison, prepare our response." An hour later, Jake watched as Ambassador Kate Sullivan's ship approached the lead enemy vessel. She was going to deliver humanity's answer in person, as was traditional in galactic diplomacy. The transmission came through clearly. Kate stood in front of the massive alien commander, looking tiny but unafraid. "War Commander Thekval, I bring humanity's response to your generous offer." The alien leader leaned forward, expecting to hear words of surrender. "We respectfully decline your generous offer of slavery. Humanity will remain free." Thekval's yellow eyes widened in surprise. Then he began to laugh, a sound like breaking glass. "Foolish humans. You choose death over service? Very well. I give you 24 more hours to reconsider. Use this time to say goodbye to your families. Tomorrow your species ends." The transmission cut off. Jake looked at his crew, all staring at him for orders. "Well," he said quietly, "I guess we're going to find out what Strategic Command has been planning all these years." Outside the viewports, the alien fleet began to move into attack formation. In a few hours, the war for humanity's future would begin. Jake just hoped Dr. Rodriguez's secrets were as dangerous as he claimed. Commander Rick Hayes watched 3,000 enemy ships approach Proxima Station. His small fleet of 200 human vessels looked like toys next to them. The alien ships moved in perfect formation, their dark hulls blocking out the stars. "Sir, they're jamming all communications," reported his tactical officer. "We can't reach Earth or any other colonies." Rick nodded. This was exactly what Dr. Rodriguez had predicted. The aliens would attack all human colonies at the same time. They wanted to make sure no one could warn the others or coordinate a defense. "All ships, this is Commander Hayes. Remember your orders. Remember what we discussed. Today we show these aliens what humans are really made of." The first alien ships opened fire. Bright energy beams cut through space, striking human vessels. The human ships returned fire, but their weapons barely scratched. The enemy hulls. 3 human destroyers exploded in the first minute of battle. On the bridge of his flagship, War Commander Thekval watched the battle with satisfaction. The humans fought bravely, but it was useless. Their weapons were too weak, their ships were too small. In an hour, maybe 2, this would be over. "Commander, the humans are changing formation," reported his weapons officer. Thekval looked at the tactical display. The human ships were pulling back from the battle. They were running away from the fight and heading toward the star. "Cowards," Thekval said with disgust. "They abandoned their own colony to save themselves. Follow them. Destroy them before they can escape." But as the alien fleet chased the human ships, something strange happened. Instead of trying to jump away to another star system, the human ships kept flying toward Proxima Centauri itself. Rick Hayes stood on his bridge as his ship raced toward the star. The heat was already making his crew sweat. The radiation alarms were screaming. His communications officer looked scared. "Sir, if we get much closer, the radiation will kill us all." "No," Rick said calmly. "Send the message, 1 word only." The communications officer's hands shook as he sent the transmission to every human ship in the fleet. "Wildfire." That single word was heard on every human vessel. In the civilian evacuation centers on Proxima Station, families held each other tight. They knew what was coming. They had all volunteered for this. Captain Jenny Moore was piloting one of the evacuation ships filled with colonists. When she heard the word, she changed course. Instead of flying away from the battle, she turned her ship toward the star. "Captain, what are you doing?" asked one of the passengers. "What humans do," she replied. "We choose our own fate." All across the system, human ships made the same choice. Military vessels, cargo haulers, passenger liners, even small personal craft. Every human ship turned toward Proxima Centauri and engaged their engines at maximum power. 2.3 million humans lived in the Proxima system. Every single one of them was now flying directly into their own star. War Commander Thekval stared at his tactical screen in confusion. "What are they doing? This makes no sense." "Sir, our science officer says they're going to crash into the star. All of them." "That's impossible. No species commits mass suicide. They must be trying to trick us somehow." But there was no trick. Rick Hayes watched his temperature gauges climb into the red zone as his fleet entered the star's outer atmosphere. Around him, human ships were beginning to break apart from the heat. "All hands, this is Commander Hayes. It has been an honor to serve with you. Remember, we do this so that humanity will never kneel." The first human ships hit the star's surface and vanished in flashes of light. Then more ships followed, then more. The impacts were perfectly calculated, hitting the star at exactly the right spots with exactly the right force. Dr. Rodriguez had spent 30 years figuring out how to make a star explode. It took precise timing and massive amounts of matter, hitting the star's core at once. The human ships weren't just committing suicide. They were turning themselves into bullets fired at the heart of a star. Proxima Centauri shuddered. Deep in its core, the nuclear fires that had burned for billions of years suddenly became unstable. The star began to collapse on itself. Then, it exploded outward. The supernova happened in seconds. A flash of light brighter than 1,000 suns erupted from where Proxima Centauri used to be. The shockwave spread out at the speed of light, carrying enough energy to destroy everything within several light years. War Commander Thekval had just enough time to understand what was happening before his ship was vaporized. 3,000 alien vessels, along with their crews, simply ceased to exist. No time to run. No time to send a message. One moment they were there, the next moment they were part of an expanding cloud of superheated gas. Similar scenes played out across human space. At New Sparta Colony, Colonel Amy Torres watched enemy troops land on her world. She waited until they were all on the surface, then activated the antimatter charges her people had spent decades hiding under the planet's crust. The planet cracked in half. 50,000 alien soldiers died with the world they thought they were conquering. At Haven Colony, the story was the same. The colonists evacuated in secret while automated systems turned their fusion reactors into bombs. When the alien fleet arrived, they found a new star where Haven used to be. On every human world, the same choice was made. Rather than be conquered, rather than become slaves, humans chose to take their enemies with them into death. In 48 hours, the Zelkarian Empire lost 127,000 ships. They lost 500,000 soldiers. They captured exactly 0 human worlds because those worlds no longer existed. War Commander Thekval's second-in-command, Sub-Commander Kethra, was leading a reserve fleet when he saw Proxima Centauri explode. He immediately sent a message back to the Empire's capital. "Supreme Chancellor, we have a problem. The humans, when they destroyed themselves, all of them, they took our entire attack force with them." The response came back hours later. "Impossible. No species destroys itself to deny us victory. You must be mistaken. Sir, I watched a star explode. I watched 3,000 of our ships die in an instant. The humans didn't surrender. They didn't run away. They flew into their own star and made it blow up." There was a long silence from the capital. "Sir, what are your orders?" Another long pause. "Hold position. Do not approach any human worlds. We need to understand what we're dealing with." Kethra looked at his tactical display, showing the locations of human colonies throughout this part of the galaxy. Each one represented millions of humans who might make the same impossible choice. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Zelkarian Empire faced an enemy they couldn't understand. An enemy that would rather die than kneel. An enemy that turned defeat into a weapon. The war was just beginning, and already everything had changed. Supreme Chancellor Vextar stared at the reports on his desk. The numbers made no sense. In 2 days, the Empire had lost more ships than in the last 100 years of conquest. The humans had destroyed 16 of their own worlds and taken 500,000 alien soldiers with them. "This is impossible," he said to his war council. "No species chooses extinction over service. They must be insane." General Morthak, his oldest military advisor, shook his head. "Sir, I've studied the battle reports. This wasn't madness. It was planned. Every attack was perfectly timed. They've been preparing for this for a long time. Preparing to commit suicide. Preparing to take us with them when they die." Chancellor Vextar stood up and walked to the huge window that looked out over the capital city. Millions of his people lived on this world. For 3,000 years, they had never known defeat. Now a small species of primitives was making him question everything. "What do we know about their remaining forces?" "Sir, intelligence suggests they still have ships scattered throughout their territory. Small groups, maybe a few hundred vessels each. Nothing that should threaten us." "Should?" "Yes, sir. Should." While the Empire's leaders debated what to do next, Captain Steve Parker was leading a small group of human ships deep into alien space. His squadron had been traveling for weeks using captured alien technology to hide from enemy patrols. "Captain, we're approaching the target system," reported his navigator. "Kethmore is just ahead." Steve looked at the intelligence files again. Kethmore was one of the Empire's major industrial worlds. 400 million aliens lived there, working in massive factories that built ships and weapons for the conquest fleets. "Remember the plan," Steve told his crew. "We're not here to fight their military. We're here to send a message." His ship was small compared to the alien vessels, but it carried something special. Human scientists had been studying alien biology for years, learning everything they could about how these creatures lived and breathed. The aliens breathed a toxic atmosphere that would kill humans in seconds, but human scientists had figured out how to make that atmosphere even more deadly. "Take us to the upper atmosphere," Steve ordered. "Keep us hidden in the gas clouds." Kethmore was an ugly world, covered in gray factories and mining operations. The sky was always dark from industrial smoke. Perfect for hiding a small human ship. Steve's team worked quickly. They released canisters of specially designed chemicals into the planet's atmosphere. The chemicals were invisible and odorless. The aliens below had no idea anything was happening. "How long?" Steve asked his science officer. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Then the reaction starts. For 4 minutes, life on Kethmore continued normally. Workers went to their jobs. Children went to school. Families ate their meals. Then, the chemicals Steve had released began to interact with the planet's natural atmosphere. The change happened fast. The air that the aliens breathed every day suddenly became poisonous to their own bodies. But it didn't kill them quickly. They had time to understand what was happening, time to feel their lungs burning, time to know they were going to die. 400 million aliens died in 10 minutes. The factories kept running. The power plants kept working. The cities stayed intact. But every living thing on the planet was dead. Steve watched from orbit as the great industrial world became silent. No distress calls. No evacuation attempts. Just death spreading across the surface like a wave. "Target neutralized," he reported to his commanders, moving to next objective. Similar attacks were happening across the Empire. General Linda Foster coordinated strikes on 30 different worlds. Human teams didn't try to capture territory or destroy military bases. They made entire planets uninhabitable. On Zethka, humans poisoned the water supply with chemicals that dissolved alien bones from the inside. On Verdum, they released modified viruses that attacked only alien DNA. On Kreltar, they used sonic weapons that made the planet's surface shake apart. Each attack killed millions of aliens while leaving the infrastructure untouched. The humans weren't interested in conquering these worlds. They wanted to make them useless to anyone. Dr. Rodriguez coordinated the campaign from a hidden command ship. He had spent his whole life preparing for this war. Every human colony had secret weapons. Every human ship had hidden capabilities. Every human citizen knew their role in the plan. Sir, we're getting reports from all strike teams, his communications officer reported. Operation Scorched Earth is proceeding on schedule. How many worlds have we hit? 78 so far. Each one is now uninhabitable. Dr. Rodriguez nodded. The plan was working perfectly. For 200 years, humans had been developing ways to destroy worlds without using nuclear weapons or stellar manipulation. Biological warfare, chemical weapons, environmental disasters, all designed to make planets useless to any species. What? About our own losses? Minimal. We've lost maybe 200 people total. The aliens never see us coming. Back on the Empire's capital world, Chancellor Vextar was receiving reports that made his blood run cold. 78 worlds had gone silent, not destroyed by explosions or battles, just empty. Sir, we sent investigation teams to 3 of the affected worlds, reported General Morthak. They found no survivors, but the infrastructure is intact. The cities are undamaged. Everyone is just dead. How? We don't know. Our scientists are trying to figure it out. Each world was killed differently. Poison on one, disease on another. Some kind of sonic attack on a third. Chancellor Vextar sat down heavily. They're not trying to conquer us, they're trying to exterminate us. Sir, there's something else. We intercepted a human transmission. They call this Operation Scorched Earth. They plan to make every world they touch uninhabitable. The Chancellor was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. How many worlds do we have in the Empire? 10,043, sir. And how many humans are there? Intelligence estimates maybe 50 billion total. 50 billion humans are declaring war on 10,000 worlds, and they're winning. General Morthak nodded grimly. Sir, we need to reconsider our strategy. These humans don't fight like any species we've encountered. They don't want to win territory. They don't want to rule us. They want to make sure that if they die, we die with them. What do you recommend? Withdraw all our forces from human space. Try to negotiate. Negotiate with beings who destroy themselves rather than surrender. Sir, the alternative is watching them kill every world in our empire, one by one. Chancellor Vextar looked at the map showing the spread of human attacks. Red dots marked dead worlds. The pattern was spreading toward the Empire's core systems like a disease. Send a message to all fleet commanders. Full retreat from human territory. And get me a communication line to the human leadership. Sir, what should we tell them? The Chancellor was quiet for a moment. Tell them we want to talk. But as he gave the order, another report came in. 3 more worlds had gone silent. The humans weren't slowing down. If anything, they were getting faster. The empire that had conquered a galaxy was learning what it meant to fight an enemy that preferred mutual destruction to defeat. And for the first time in 3,000 years, they were losing. Supreme Chancellor Vextar stood in his war room, staring at a map that showed his dying empire. Red marks covered 123 worlds that had gone silent. His generals looked defeated. His advisors offered no solutions. Sir, the outer colonies are in panic, reported General Morthak. Civilian populations are fleeing toward the core worlds. We have refugee ships everywhere. Our supply lines are breaking down. What about our peace offer to the humans? No response, sir. They're not interested in talking. Vextar slammed his fist on the table. Then we use the planet killers. If they want to destroy worlds, we'll show them what real destruction looks like. General Morthak looked uncomfortable. Sir, are you sure? The planet killer weapons haven't been used in 800 years. The Council of Worlds might object. The Council of Worlds doesn't matter anymore. Order the Doomsday Fleet to Earth. I want that planet turned to dust. On Earth, Admiral Jake Morrison received the intelligence report from human spies deep in alien territory. The Empire was sending 50,000 ships armed with weapons that could crack planets apart. Earth had maybe 96 hours before they arrived. Jake called an emergency meeting with President Grant and Dr. Rodriguez. We can't stop that many ships, Jake said. Our entire fleet couldn't handle 50,000 alien vessels, especially not their heavy weapons. President Grant looked tired. The stress of the war was showing on her face. How many people can we evacuate? Maybe 7 billion out of 12 billion, Jake replied. And that's if we use every ship we have, Dr. Rodriguez spoke quietly. There is another option. Both leaders looked at him. Operation Solar Flare. We've been preparing it for 50 years, just in case. What is it? Asked President Grant. Turn our own sun into a weapon. The room went silent. Jake felt his blood go cold. You want to destroy our own solar system? The gravity manipulators we've installed throughout the system can destabilize the sun, make it go supernova. The blast would destroy everything within 10 light years, including any alien fleet that happens to be here. President Grant stared at him. You're talking about killing our home world, killing Earth itself. I'm talking about making sure the aliens pay the ultimate price for threatening us. If we die, we take as many of them with us as possible. Jake stood up and walked to the window. He could see Earth's blue sky and white clouds. Billions of people live down there. Children playing in parks, families having dinner, people who had no idea their leaders were discussing turning their sun into a bomb. How many alien ships would it kill? Jake asked. All of them. Every ship in the system when the sun explodes. And how many humans can we save? Maybe 60% if we start evacuating now. The rest, Dr. Rodriguez shrugged. They volunteer to stay behind. Someone has to activate the system. Mayor Janet Bell of New York was coordinating the evacuation when she got the call. The government was asking for volunteers to stay behind while everyone else escaped to safety. What exactly are you asking us to do? She asked President Grant over the video link. We're asking some people to sacrifice themselves so the human race can survive. We need people to stay behind and make sure the plan works. Janet looked out her office window at the millions of people in her city. How do you choose who lives and who dies? How long do we have? 72 hours to evacuate as many people as possible. After that, we activate the solar weapons. Janet made her decision. I'll stay. My city, my responsibility. But the children go first. Every child gets on an evacuation ship. Similar conversations were happening all over Earth. Mayors, police chiefs, firefighters, doctors, people whose job was to protect others volunteering to die so humanity could survive. Captain Tony Miller was loading refugees onto his transport ship when a little girl tugged on his uniform. Mister, why can't my daddy come with us? Tony looked down at the child. Her father was a power plant engineer who had volunteered to stay behind and keep the lights on until the end. Your daddy has an important job to do here, but you'll see him again someday. It was a lie, but Tony couldn't tell a 6-year-old that her father was going to die in 3 days. The evacuation was the largest in human history. Every ship that could fly was pressed into service. Military vessels, cargo haulers, passenger liners, even small private craft. Everyone working together to save as many people as possible. Dr. Rodriguez worked around the clock preparing the solar weapons. Hidden stations throughout the solar system checked their equipment. The gravity manipulators had to fire at exactly the right moment or the plan wouldn't work. Sir, we're tracking the alien fleet, reported his assistant. They'll arrive in 18 hours. Are the evacuations finished? No, sir. We need at least 6 more hours. Then we give them 6 more hours. When the Zelkarian Doomsday Fleet arrived at Earth, they found something unexpected. Thousands of human ships were fleeing the system, but not toward other star systems. They were heading to the outer edge of the solar system and stopping there. War Commander Krelna, leading the alien fleet, was puzzled. Why aren't they running away completely? Why stay in the same system? Sir, maybe they're planning another suicide attack, suggested his tactical officer. With evacuation ships full of civilians? Even humans aren't that crazy. But Krelna was wrong. Admiral Morrison's flagship was with the evacuation fleet, but Jake wasn't running away. He was positioning his ships to survive what was coming next. All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. In 60 seconds, we activate Operation Solar Flare. Everyone get behind the radiation shields. This is going to be the biggest explosion in human history. On Earth, the volunteers who had stayed behind watched the alien fleet approach. Dr. Rodriguez stood in the control room of the secret command center. his hand on the activation switch. "Sir, all stations report ready," said his assistant. "Any word from the evacuation fleet?" "They're clear of the blast zone." Dr. Rodriguez looked at the display showing 50,000 alien ships approaching Earth. Soon they would start firing their planet-killer weapons. Soon Earth would be nothing but floating rocks, unless he acted first. Activate solar flare. Throughout the solar system, gravity manipulators came online. Massive machines that had been hidden for decades suddenly began pulling on the sun's core. The nuclear fires that had burned for billions of years became unstable. The sun flickered. Then it began to expand. War Commander Krelna had just enough time to realize what was happening before his ship was vaporized. The sun exploded with the force of 1 billion nuclear weapons. The blast wave traveled at the speed of light, consuming everything in its path. 50,000 alien ships simply ceased to exist. The asteroid belt was blown away. Mars became a cloud of gas. And Earth, the home of humanity, was erased from existence. But 12 light-years away, Admiral Morrison watched the explosion through his ship's sensors. 7 billion humans had survived. They were homeless now, but they were alive. And the Zelkarian Empire had just lost another 50,000 ships to an enemy that preferred to destroy their own world rather than let it be conquered. 3 months after Earth died, the Zelkarian Empire was falling apart. Supreme Chancellor Vexitar sat in his office, reading reports of worlds abandoned by their own people. Citizens were fleeing to other galaxies. Military units were deserting. Some colonies had declared independence. "Sir, we've lost contact with another 12 worlds in the Outer Rim," reported General Morthak. "The governors aren't responding to our calls." "Are they dead or have they just given up?" "Unknown, sir, but our scouts report seeing human ships in those systems." Vexitar closed his eyes. The humans were like a disease spreading through his empire. They appeared without warning, killed entire worlds, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. No one felt safe anymore. "How many ships do we have left?" 800,000, sir, but morale is terrible. Half our fleet commanders are requesting transfer to the core worlds. "And how many humans are we fighting?" "Intelligence estimates maybe 300,000 ships total. Small groups scattered across the galaxy." Vexitar laughed bitterly. 300,000 humans are destroying an empire of 10,000 worlds. Captain Tony Mitchell commanded one of those human ships. His vessel, Vengeance of Earth, carried 5,000 refugees who had lost their home world. Every person on his ship had watched their planet die. Every one of them wanted revenge. "Captain, we found another research station," reported his intelligence officer. "Long-range sensors show it's conducting experiments on captured humans." Tony felt his jaw tighten. The aliens had been capturing human prisoners for months, trying to understand how their minds worked, trying to figure out why humans chose death over slavery. How many aliens at the station? About 10,000, plus maybe 50 human prisoners. And how many ships are guarding it? 12 heavy cruisers. Tony looked at his tactical display. His small fleet had only 8 ships. Normally, this would be an impossible fight, but normal rules didn't apply anymore. All ships, prepare for attack pattern suicide run. His crew knew what that meant. They would charge directly at the enemy, ignoring their own safety. If they died, they would take as many aliens with them as possible. The battle was short and vicious. Tony's ships crashed through the alien defensive line, taking heavy damage but refusing to retreat. When his weapon systems failed, he used his ship as a battering ram. But this time something different happened. Instead of just destroying the station, Tony's engineering team did something special. They turned the entire facility into a gravity bomb. The research station collapsed into a black hole that consumed the entire star system. 12 alien ships, 10,000 alien scientists, and 1 star simply vanished into a point of infinite darkness. Tony watched the system disappear from his damaged bridge. "Send a message to all human fleets. We've developed a new weapon. We can make black holes now." The message spread throughout human space. Dr. Rodriguez, working from a mobile command ship, received the report with grim satisfaction. How many systems can we hit with this new weapon? He asked his science team. As many as we want, sir. We just need to get close to any large facility or ship concentration. Then let's show the Empire what happens when they capture our people. Over the next month, 17 more alien star systems simply vanished. Not destroyed by explosions, but erased from existence by artificial black holes. Each attack took millions of alien lives and made entire regions of space impossible to travel through. On the Empire's capital world, Chancellor Vexitar faced a military coup. His own generals were demanding his resignation. "Sir, you have to surrender," said General Morthak. "The humans have weapons we can't defend against. They're erasing our worlds from existence. Surrender to primitives? Sir, these aren't primitives, they're something worse. They're a species that has turned destruction into an art form." General Kethra, who had survived the battle at Proxima Station, spoke up. "Sir, I've been fighting humans for months. I've seen what they're capable of. They don't want to rule us, they don't want our territory, they want to make sure we regret ever threatening them." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying they won't stop until every alien world is dead or we give them what they want." "And what do they want?" "For us to leave them alone, forever." President Lisa Grant stood on the bridge of the mobile capital ship New Washington. Around her, the scattered remains of humanity continued their campaign of vengeance. 7 billion humans were homeless, but they were winning a war against an empire 1,000 times their size. "Ma'am, we're receiving a transmission from the alien capital," reported her communications officer. "Put it through." Supreme Chancellor Vexitar appeared on the screen. He looked older, defeated. His yellow eyes had lost their arrogance. "President Grant, I am authorized to offer the complete surrender of the Zelkarian Empire." Lisa kept her expression neutral. "What are your terms?" "We will withdraw from all human space. We will release all human prisoners. We will provide ships and supplies to help rebuild your civilization. And in return, you stop killing our worlds." Lisa was quiet for a moment. Behind her, Admiral Morrison and Dr. Rodriguez waited for her decision. "Chancellor, your empire demanded our submission. We refused. You tried to conquer us. We made that impossible. You tried to destroy us. We destroyed ourselves rather than give you the satisfaction. Yes, we understand that now. Do you? Do you really understand what you're dealing with?" Vextar nodded slowly. "You are a species that would rather burn the galaxy than kneel." "That's right. And if you ever threaten humanity again, we will finish what we started. We will turn every world you've ever touched into a graveyard." "I understand." "Good. Then here are our terms. You will withdraw to your core systems. You will never expand beyond them. You will never approach human space again. And you will spread the word to every species in this galaxy about what happens when someone demands our submission. And if we agree, then the killing stops. For now." Vextar closed his eyes. "I accept your terms." The transmission ended. Around the bridge, the human leadership was quiet. "Think they'll keep their word?" asked Admiral Morrison. "For a while," said Dr. Rodriguez. "They're too scared to do anything else." President Grant looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships were still hunting alien worlds. Somewhere out there, the refugees of Earth were building new homes among the ashes of their enemies. Send the word to all human fleets. The war is over. But stay ready, stay angry, and make sure the galaxy remembers what happens when someone tries to make humans kneel. War Commander Thekval, now the only surviving member of his original fleet, wrote his final report from a prison camp on the Empire's capital world. He had been arrested for losing the war, but his words would be studied for generations. "We demanded their submission and received damnation instead. We thought we were fighting primitives, but we were fighting something far more dangerous. They are not a species that can be conquered because they are not a species that will accept conquest. They would rather burn the galaxy than kneel. We learned too late that some enemies are more dangerous when cornered than when free. The humans have taught us the price of demanding submission from those willing to pay any cost for freedom." The war ended, not with victory parades or peace treaties, but with the recognition that humanity represented something new in galactic civilization. a species willing to embrace mutual destruction rather than accept slavery. The survivors of both sides faced a galaxy forever changed, where the price of threatening humanity might be the end of worlds.